Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. Meditation gathers energy and strength when we meditate together. This week we have Garry Hasler who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we're going to open it up for sharing, and we usually end at 10:45, but who knows. Over to you, Garry.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to Sharon, Kirsty, Ian, Dan, and Teresa, and the Miracle Network team. Thank you very much for inviting me to lead the meditation this week. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to join in mind together and remember the truth of who we are. You know, that's all that anyone wants. That's certainly all that I want. And, you know, whether we know it or not, it's the only thing that anyone here is seeking. You know, the peace and the joy of remembering who I am in that singular identity, that Christ mind, in which all problems are answered and all doubts are dispelled. So I'd like to invite the Holy Spirit to join us and for Jesus to join us as we join together in mind in this purpose of remembering our holy self. Okay, so for this meditation, I wanted to do a meditation on what I think of as divine ignorance. Divine ignorance. You know, I don't know are the three words are most difficult for us to say very often. You know, in this world, there seems to be a demand to express your competence and your knowledge about everything and to appear competent to others. But often thinking that I know something is what blocks the miracle. It blocks a true answer being given to me. You know, perception, as Jesus talks about in the Course, is inherently judgmental. We don't see the world objectively, although that, you know, we deceive ourselves into believing that we do. We think what we're seeing is fact, and quite often we don't question it. You know, such is the nature of how we have learned to think and exist as people within the world. You know, in the Course, Jesus says, how many times did you think you knew all the facts only to realize later how wrong you were? And I'm sure there's not one of us here who doesn't relate to that. You know, how often have you thought you knew what was going on only to discover later on you were completely wrong, and you got upset, angry, disturbed for no reason because you made up a story. So, you know, this is the nature of what we are dealing with and what Jesus is trying to help us to undo. You know, he says, resign as your own teacher. Resign as your own teacher. If I resign as my own teacher, then I can be taught. But if I think I already know something, you know, I can't again receive an answer that will help me to find the peace that I seek. So I'd just like to quickly look at a few parts of the Course before we do the meditation. And beginning with the first few lessons of the workbook of the Course, you know, you can really see how this is a course in undoing what I already think I know. He begins with nothing I see means anything. I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me, and I don't understand anything I see. These thoughts do not mean anything. I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm upset because I see something that is not there. I see only the past. And in lesson 10, he says, my thoughts do not mean anything. That's the admission I need to make. I don't understand anything. I don't know. I don't even know who I am. I don't know what's going on. This can be scary, but it is what he is asking us to do, to clear our minds of everything we think we already know. So just to go to the text for a moment, he says, understand that you do not respond to anything directly, but to your interpretation of it. And your interpretation thus becomes the justification for the response. That's why analysing the motives of others is hazardous to you. If you decide that someone really is trying to attack you, or desert you, or enslave you, then you will respond as if he had actually done so, having made his error real to you. To interpret error is to give it power, and having done this, you will overlook the truth. We get caught in our story at that point, and we need a miracle to help us, because we're convinced we're right. We're convinced that we're upset for the reason we think. So he says the analysis of ego motivation is very complicated, very obscuring, and never without your own ego involvement. The whole process represents a clear-cut attempt to demonstrate your own ability to understand what you perceive. And this is shown by the fact that you react to your interpretations as if they were correct. A big part of finding peace again, from my experience, is admitting how wrong I've been. And I'd rather be wrong and happy than right and disturbed and in conflict. So he also says, the Bible tells you to become as little children. Little children recognize they don't understand what they perceive, and so they ask what it means. Don't make the mistake of believing that you understand what you perceive, for its meaning is lost to you. I don't know the meaning of anything I perceive. He says, not one thought you hold is wholly true, and the recognition of this is your firm beginning. This is my beginning, recognizing, acknowledging my ignorance. And I must always find my way back to this beginning when I'm in conflict, when I'm disturbed again, when I've re-illusioned. So just one more short excerpt from the course, and then we'll do the meditation. He says, whenever you think you know, peace will depart from you, because you have abandoned the teacher of peace. Whenever you fully realize that you know not, then peace will return, for you will have invited him to return by abandoning the ego on behalf of him. So call not upon the ego for anything. It is only this that you need to do. The Holy Spirit will, of himself, fill every mind that so makes room for him. So I make a space in my mind, and the Holy Spirit will fill it. But while my mind is occupied with my own private thoughts and my obsessions and my analysis of the motives of others, there isn't a space in my mind for the Holy Spirit to enter. Okay, so let's begin the meditation then. I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And as you release it, let go of any tension that you're experiencing in your body. And take another deep breath and hold it. And again, as you release it, let go of any worries or anxieties or any tension. Notice your breathing. Focus your attention on your breath. And there's nowhere else to be right now. There's nothing else to think about. We can indeed just relax. And I'd like to invite you now to bring to mind something that is troubling you at the moment. Be it situation, event, relationship. Doesn't matter how little or much it's troubling you. Just bring it to mind. And as you consider it and let yourself feel whatever it is that you're feeling in relation to that situation, event, or relationship, say to yourself, I do not know what anything, including this, means. I don't know what it means. And so I don't know how to respond to it. And I will not use my own past learning as the light to guide me now. And continue now to search your mind for anything that is unresolved, any problems, doubts, or anxieties of any kind as we continue in this. And apply the same lesson to all of them as they arise. Again, say, I do not know what anything, including this, means. And so I do not know how to respond to it, and I will not use my own past learning as the light to guide me now.
You're on mute, Dan.
So let's start again. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand, or you can use the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and I'll take you off of mute. If you'd like to ask Garry a question or a comment with confidentiality, put your message in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out. Who'd like to share? Sheila, was that you? No?
Hi, it's Kirsty here. Thank you so much for that, Garry. This particular passage of Course in Miracles, I think it's in the FYP, top of page 298, as I remember, but I haven't got my book in front of me. I became aware of that passage when I first started learning the course years ago. And the teacher I had at the time was very, very keen on it and talked about it a lot. And then I used to think about it a lot, and then I kind of forgot about it. And I haven't really, for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, I've been trying to stamp my own interpretation onto the course and try and interpret my life events in relation to the course myself. I've kind of forgotten everything that I learned. And then about a month or so ago, another person who on the Wednesday morning, a guy called Nick Arandis, did this very thing. And I thought, oh yeah, God, that's what I've forgotten. And then I forgot it again. And then this morning, you've come here. And I just really think it is, from my experience, my script, my dream is Holy Spirit hitting me with the same, hitting me so many times in so many different directions. I've got to remember that it is, I do not know what anything including this means. So thank you very much, Garry, for being another reminder on this for me on this journey. I'm out.
Oh, you're most welcome, Kirsty. We certainly need lots of reminders. I need to also be reminded of this over and over again all the time, because there's such a tendency to re-illusion and get lost on a particular train of thought. So yeah, thank you. It's great.
Maggie, would you like to share?
Sorry, I thought you'd finished, Garry, and I put my hand up too soon. But I just wanted to briefly say I'm very, very glad that I heard you. It was just exactly what I needed. And I find that very difficult to remember. And I especially find it difficult when I want to react to my daughter. And I really want to be able to pause and just think, I don't know. I do not know anything. And I can't tell her anything. And I just thought you explained it so well and so beautifully. I'd actually need to hear it again, but it's exactly what I needed today. And so thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Maggie. Thank you. Yeah, it's in those moments, isn't it, when we're tempted, when there's something happening right in our face, that we need a lesson like this, because there is such a tendency to react from a reactionary place, from fear. And when I do that, I always make the situation worse, usually. So yeah, thank you.
Sheila, would you like
Thank
to
you.
No. Oh.
Thanks. It's Rona. I'm round at Sheila's house. Hi. Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for Saturday as well. It was very powerful. Yeah, thanks, Garry. It was exactly what I needed, as has been said. I wanted to ask something about creativity, actually, because I think sometimes that I feel like a lot of these stories that I make up, I feel like are coming from creativity, but then I get very confused about how much of that is coming from creativity kind of in terms of God, and then how much is kind of from creativity in terms of ego. Does that make sense? Because I think I think some of this, I feel like a lot of these stories that I make up are an excess of creative imagination that isn't getting directed as it's meant to be, and instead then it gets directed towards fear and projection. I just wondered if you had thoughts.
When you talk about creativity, are you talking about a kind of creative act where you're making some kind of artwork or music or something, or are you just talking about your mind thinking?
Well, I'm just thinking, yeah, we're kind of both in a way, yeah, like that my imagination is really vibrant, right? And I feel like a lot of that is led by God. And then, but then I feel like what happens is that it goes awry, and that my ego then uses it to make up a ton of stories that aren't true, that I then, you know, don't realize I've made up. And I'm like, you know, 15 steps down the down the trajectory, right? As if it is real, totally attached to it. And then it's only when I come, it's like, oh yeah, I don't actually know. So yeah, I just wondered if there were thoughts about that. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Yeah, I think, you know, when you find yourself in a creative moment, it's inspiring. You know, you can find yourself in the flow and really get in the zone with whatever you're doing. And I think that's awesome. You know, that can be a true expression. It can bring beauty and joy and love into the world. I mean, I can only really share from my own experience, but you know, what I've discovered for myself is that it's important to stop from time to time, whatever I'm doing, however caught up and engrossed I am in something, and just have that quiet moment, that time with God, and remember God again, and, you know, find peace within myself, and then return to what I was doing. You know, those intervals throughout the day, as the lessons also invite us to engaging are so important in whatever I'm doing, including, you know, works of creativity. So I don't know if that helps.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. I'm more meant like this whole thing that we're doing, like, anyway, it's fine. It's too complicated for yeah, anyway, it's fine. Don't worry. Thanks so much. Thanks.
Hi Gary, can you hear me?
Hi, Lynn, yes.
Hi, yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask something. Thank you. It's really timely for me, this meditation today. But I just wanted to ask you how, and I know that it's all about ego drawing me back into the world when I think about roles and responsibilities in the world, and juggling that with I know nothing. So if I've got an issue where I think, okay, that's my role, there are certain rules that I need to follow, and knowing those rules, you know, there's a certain way of they have implications within the world. So then, how do you juggle that? And I'm just interested how other people do it with I know nothing. So, you know, I let this go, knowing that there might be consequences back in the ego identity, back in the world, back in this illusion. I don't know if you can speak to that.
Well, I can try to, yeah. I mean, certainly within some of the roles and the systems within the world, there are expectations that things should be or need to be done in a particular way. You know, we have regulations and guidelines, and you know, I'm not suggesting that you break those guidelines and regulations, but you know, within whatever framework you're in, you know, you can still ask for help in whatever you're doing. You know, whatever leeway you have, whatever freedom you have, the Holy Spirit will work with.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense, and that's what I kind of thought anyway. But I just thought that you might have a particular, I don't know, technique. But yes, taking it all to Holy Spirit is the only the only technique really. But yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Asking for help is the best technique, I would say.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
If I could ask another question, Gary, it's Kirsty again. I've been working, I was working with rules for decision for on and off for years and years and years. But you know, where you make no decisions by yourself. And I find that bit kind of similar to what Lynn was saying. I find that making no decisions by myself really hard, because of course when you've got tasks to do, I mean, I'm a single working mum, and when you've got, you know, I'm in the middle of selling my house at the moment, trying to think of schools for my, you know, where the kids can go to school and that kind of thing, and trying to do all that. There is even though it's a dream, it's a very compelling dream where there are responsibilities, housing and parenting and schooling. Do I just go about my business doing what I'm meant to be doing? I mean, I'm meant to be contacting a conveyancing solicitor today, or do I wait for Holy Spirit to give me the nod? I mean, how does it work exactly when you're really surrendering to Holy Spirit?
Well, you know, I think we have to deal with our responsibilities and the things that we've said that we do, and our lives as we live them. You know, whatever comes up, whatever needs attending to, I do have to deal with it. But if I deal with it from a place of peace, I will be far more effective in whatever I'm doing. So I think, you know, that section that you mentioned is great in that sense. Today I will make no decisions by myself, because yes, although there are decisions that need to be made on a practical basis, you know, the Holy Spirit will be with me. You know, I will be at peace if I've taken my quiet time beforehand, before I begin to start my day and do all the things that need doing. So it will be obvious and effortless what to do and what to do first, how to prioritize what I need to do. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it really does, Gary. Thank you. It's kind of making decisions, but from a place of peace rather than a place of conflict. Yeah, thank you for that, Gary. Thank you.
And when there is a particular decision that you need to make, if you experience a feeling of peace with regard to a possibility of what to do, then, you know, that could be a signal that that's the right decision. If there's some fear involved, if you're doing something out of a sense of urgency, or because you feel that you have to, then that could be an indication that perhaps I need to step back and, you know, go within again and find my peace, and then return to it when I've got more equanimity of mind, if you like.
Yeah, thanks for that, Gary.
Garry, I just want to make a comment. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was lovely. And I had a few things going on in my mind this morning. And I found that the meditation and the mantra, the lesson, it was almost like removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. That's how it felt. I had a few things there, and my past learning was in there, giving me a lot of anxiety. But by doing the meditation, I could see the rocks of fear that were there, and it was all because of past learning. And what happened is it just helped me to completely relax, notice it, and to lay it on the altar and to soften. And that I feel is a wonderful, it's removing these blocks to the awareness of love. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa. Yeah, it's very much a part of the process. You know, the blocks are, well, I'm the block, essentially, my thinking, my past learning, everything I think I know. So, you know, I'm in a process of constantly relinquishing everything I know. And, you know, sometimes I find that can result in finding myself at war with myself for a moment. But then, you know, when I do enter that moment of accepting that I don't know, I feel the relief of that, the release that comes from that. And then I can move forward with present trust and let love lead the way and guide me and direct me. And then if I find myself disturbed again, back into that, accepting that I've thought wrongly here about something or someone, and I need help again. And that's okay, I'm constantly asking for help, and I accept that I need help in this, and I'm not alone in this, and there is a power far greater than me that I can always call upon. So why not call upon him rather than attempt to do things my way, and just make the future like the past was. So yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I've
Linda.
something. I was up about 4 o'clock this morning with this tidying up and the bins. I put the bin out last night, and the man next door put his out, and then I kept having little bits to take back out to my black bin, which is just recycling, not recycling, just odd bits. And then when I went out, next door had put a great big, because there's only me, there's not a lot, a great big plastic bucket with a load of wood, big bits of wood. Now, I like doing things right, and that is not the bin you put that in, but it's in my bin. They put it in my bin. Now, I'm thinking over the little while, oh, I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. I don't respond, don't react. But I did then. The dustmen have just been. I can see them coming. He's just looked in my bin. And it was whilst I was on this meditation that thought came in. What's it all mean? What is it showing me? So I'm thinking, that really wound me up. Something stupid like that. And then, just before the bin men came, this, just let it go. It means nothing. It means nothing. Just let it go. And the peace that came to me just a few minutes ago was unbelievable. But that's happened this morning. Yes, just to let it go. And I do not know what anything is for. So it obviously was for forgiveness and to let it go. It's not real. This world isn't real. Thank you, Garry. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Thank you. There are things happening all the time, and there's always something that's going to come along and tempt me to be upset about something. And I'm always free to remember I'm not upset for the reason I think. I'm seeing something that isn't there. That's why I'm upset. And I mean, if I need to say something about what has happened, I can, as long as I do it from a place of peace. That's fine. I can say, don't put things in my bin like that. But not from a reactionary place, from a centered place.
Normally, if you put stuff in my bin, as long as it's been the right sort of stuff, I'm okay. I haven't got a problem with that at all. It was just that stuff was the wrong stuff in my black bin. So something silly like that.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? How something so minuscule and senseless can, disturb our peace like that. How quickly we can throw our peace away for no real reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'll be thinking about that today. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any last question or comment before we finish? Okay. Well, go on, Dennis. Take yourself off mute. Can you? Ah, there you go.
For 15 years, Linda and I went to a study group, and they used to have a saying there: what you give attention to, you give life to. And I think all these moments we've been talking about, we all give life to them, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. He says perception does have a focus, and I'm free to change that focus and focus on something else. I don't have to buy into some story or some drama that seems to be playing out and, run away with it in my imagination. I can hand it over at any moment. So yeah, thank you, Dennis.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Garry.
Okay, everybody. Unless there's any last questions, if you want to take yourself off of Caroline, do you have a question, or are you just taking yourself off?
Oh, I'm just preparing to say a big thank you. I'm very grateful to everybody for their contributions, and thank you, Garry.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Caroline. So if you could take...
Thanks for the reminder, Garry. Absolutely wonderful reminder for me again. Thank you.
All right, so everyone take yourself off mute and show your appreciation to Garry.
Thank you, Garry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Garry. Thank you.
The conference as well.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.